Hello, welcome to MCFC 9320 Pubcast Women. Tonight we have got the wonderful Riz, the wonderful Stan, and the wonderful Anne-Marie. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks for
You're
having
very
us.
welcome.
Have you enjoyed the weekend of football, the women in particular?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's been a wonderful weekend of goals for City.
Back-to-back wins, Stan. Can't ask for more. And Gareth Taylor's just proving you wrong, isn't he? Stan? Stan, are you with us?
I think it was you that said you wanted him out. I said give him the time.
Anne-Marie, talk some sense to us blokes.
Well, I just think given that bit of time, getting the new players to settle in, it seems to have made the difference. And also, as much as it pains me, leaving Steph on the bench for a couple of games. I'd hate to see her just finish her career sat on the bench, but maybe that's where we're heading. I don't know, but it's good to see some of the new players settling in. Good to see Bunny Shaw get a couple of goals yesterday. Hopefully it's onwards and upwards.
Yeah, it's looking a lot better than the first two games. Listen, 2 games is not going to define our season, but it's a platform. 7 goals in 2 games? Not to be sniffed at, is it?
Not at all. And you have to look at Arsenal last season. They only lost 1 game all season and still finished second. So you know what you're up against, and all the teams are improving. Tottenham yesterday particularly was a good challenge for us, and we came through it. Maybe the Leicester game not so much a challenge because they're not gonna rock the boat too much. I don't think
you still can only beat what's in front of you, and
that's all.
Everybody, doesn't matter who they are. Yeah, Chelsea, always win the league, etc. Arsenal are always up there, but for me, it always seems that everybody wants to beat City, because of who we are.
Of course it does, and unfortunately for the women, people associate money and they're thinking of the men's game, and actually as we're finding out more and more, there isn't that money in the women's game. There's a wage cap and everything, and you have to make do with what you can get. And actually, maybe we were a bit quick to judge Gareth after the first couple of games of the season, and he's got players that really want to play for him, and hopefully that is the case, and we'll just keep getting better and better.
Yeah, Stan, you watched the game as well yesterday, didn't you? Give us a quick analysis of what you saw.
What we've been saying for the last 3 weeks, really, that you're going to have to give him a little time. He's got some really good quality replacements in. Most of them haven't played in the league yet. Yui Hasegawa has. She settled quite quickly. They're fine. They're now starting to get in the right places. I mean, I was saying during the match, it was a pleasant surprise to see Esme Morgan keeping out Demi Stokes. These players are there. They are good players. Dana Castellanos, she's fine. Once she starts working out who goes deep and who holds up with Bunny, that'll be okay. You've got 2 outstanding wingers. They can throw the ball in, no problem whatsoever. They'll both score goals as well. I just think he was a bit unlucky with the start of the season. We've only had 1. We've played 6 matches now, and we've had 1 at home. 1. It's 3 of them. Well, 2
shouldn't
of them.
Shouldn't make that much of a difference, so whether it's home or away.
Well, Chelsea away and Real Madrid away. They're tough games. Don't matter who you are, but they are tough games. And he's had that in the first 2, so all the pressure's built on him straight away. The young team that's just getting put together.
Yeah.
Beginning to think they were right, the club, to keep him and get rid of the others.
It was good. It was good to see Bunny getting
Controversial.
another couple yesterday as well. She looked top of the goal scoring charts at the moment, isn't she? She just looks the equivalent of a Haaland, really. Physical presence, got pace as well, and knows where the back of the net is.
It's funny because both the men's and the women's team have gone. They've now got a target, a big, unique target. Both teams have. Bunny Shaw last year, per 90 minutes, her stats were as good as not Vivian Mediani, Sam Kerr. They were out up there. The difference was she hadn't scored as many as Sam Kerr because she wasn't playing as much because she had that battle with Ellen White.
Yeah.
Now Ellen's gone. She's got that confidence, and Gareth will play her every game.
Yeah.
And she now knows that number 9 shirt is hers, and she can build on that, and she's repaying that because she's keeping up. She's keeping up a goal scoring rate, and because she's getting more minutes, she's getting more goals. Yeah, it must be a dream for Chloe Kelly and Lauren Hemp to be throwing balls into the middle for her to gobble them up.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Riz, you saw the match as well yesterday. Does it look a totally different sort of like mentality to the first few games? The way they played, and they was together yesterday, which quite impressive, really.
Yeah, they seem to be like that team spirit. They've welcomed the new players into the squad. They're getting to know each other. So yeah, it looks a lot more together performance. I mean, just a thing that Anne-Marie picked up on there that she's saying like Arsenal lost, was it 2 games last year, and they finished second. 1 game.
Mm-hmm.
When they finished second, that it just shows you that the start that City's had could have ruined it for them for the rest of the season. In this league, there's not normally many upsets, is there? So that if somebody, if a team isn't winning the games as regular as they should be, then it completely ruins it for the rest of the season. So you've got to be on it from the start. And my concern is that because they've not been on it from the start, that they may have already lost the league.
Yeah, but then Chelsea lost to Liverpool, so it's still, really, it's still early days, and a lot can happen. We haven't played Chelsea or Liverpool yet, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
We need to go on a run now, don't we? We need to get a good run behind us, and then builds that confidence, doesn't it?
But I've seen it. I'm sure everyone has, in particular since the Euros, a huge turnaround. In the for the women's football, be it attendances and stuff like that. It was also good to see Chloe Kelly. Even on a men's chat show, Jonathan Ross. Yeah, was it last Saturday night? That's unheard of, isn't it? So it just shows you what the attention what's getting now.
It is, and it's an encouraging sign. And I think, they're showing a lot more games now than they did last season. So, there's going to be some investment coming into these clubs, and maybe it's time to take the shackles off a bit and stop this pay cap. I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about how the clubs run to say.
I think if you take the pay cap off, though, what you'll tend to have is you'll have the clubs like City. I'm using them as an example. We've got money to throw at stuff. So it basically, you could have teams that could just go up and literally go and buy all the best players, offer them silly money, and they could just go in and you could sweep it all up. So it could ruin the competitiveness of the league. I think that's the only downside to it.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, but you just need to look at the improvement in the game. Even during the week, Arsenal played Lyon, I think it was, in the Champions League, and beat them 5-1, which is unheard of. So you can see the development of the English game, and it's all positive. And I think from what I can gather, the crowds are up on what they have been in the past, which is encouraging as well. So I think, all in all, I think it's positive for the future. I think it's the more publicity and that they can get, the better.
Absolutely, it's all good for the game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
While I remember, Andy, can we just send out a best wishes, and I hope she has a speedy recovery to Ellie Brazil, who got stretched off after 10 minutes against City yesterday.
Yeah.
She had a clash with oh God, what's she called? Keeper, forgotten her name.
Roebuck.
Ellie Roebuck.
Yep. Roebuck.
She's only just come back from a bad injury, hasn't she?
That's it. She's had 2 bad ACL injuries. Last one, she was out for the year, and it looked like it might have gone again. I hope it hasn't, and I hope she's, back on her feet as ASAP. So best wishes to
absolutely,
Ellie.
Condone.
You don't want to see that.
No, we don't want to see bad injuries.
No. So Stan, you've been championing a young Fowler, haven't you, for a few weeks? She's getting more game time now, isn't she?
Well, she came on there. She replaced Bunny. Yeah. She didn't have a lot to do, to be fair. They were 3-0 up, and they were in the ways. She came in with a wave of changes. So she's only 18. She's got nearly 30 caps for Australia. She can wait.
Do you think, a point what Anne-Marie was making,
years down the line,
Stan,
only going to be 21.
Stan, a point what Anne-Marie was making, and I think it's bang on. Is it a coincidence that we've started playing better, in particular at the back, since Steph's been on the bench?
100%, whether we like it or not. And we were saying this after the first couple of games, that we're going to have to be very, very, very careful how we manage her retirement, because she's a legend. She can't be left to sit on the bench. That's just not on. But I think they're going to need to sit down with her and say, look, what is your future? What do you want to do? I'd love
to see it come into doing coaching and stuff for us, because from on the outside looking in, and something you might be privy to, John, I see from the outside, coaching and that, even in the women's game, is still done by a lot of the men. There don't seem to be a great deal of women coaches out there.
It is, and I was thinking maybe what they can do with Steph, along with Karen Bardsley and Jill Scott, is get them together and ask them if they want to take part and help them to get coaching badges, if that's what they want to do. Obviously, if they don't want to do coaching or get into management, they can do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I know Steph's got problems with her husband. Well, not problems, but she's got to look after him. Maybe it's not the right time at the moment, but he's certainly there, 100%. And you're going to need more and more women. Those jobs, those coaching and managing jobs. They don't have to go to America anymore. They can do it here.
Yeah.
I'm sure the club will help them. But what you need to know is what exactly it is they want to do, and then go to it, because you really, really want to give Steph, because her, along with Jill Scott, they've been the pillars of the club. They really have. And with what happened over the summer, whether anyone agrees with it or not, there was a little bit of a sour taste in the mouth, and you don't want that with Steph. So let's learn from them lessons and get things done and get them organised, and help her. Ask her what she needs, what she wants.
Because I'm sure
whether you like it or not.
I'm pretty sure the club, John. I'm pretty sure that the club would have already done that, because they always seem, more proactive with stuff like that. But Riz, do you see it still a bit of a jobs for the boys, especially with the coaching and stuff, not just at City, in women's football in general?
Yeah, I do. It seems quite odd, really, that there's not a lot more women wanting to do the coaching side of it, because I think that can only be what it is, that they don't want to do it. Maybe, I don't know. Sounds daftish, but I don't know the mechanisms of it. How do women respond to other women as coaches? Do they respond better to a bloke coaching? I don't know, because it can affect the setup. I don't know how it works. I've never worked in that environment, so so I don't know whether that affects it. Possibly you could tell us more about that.
You only need to look at the most successful team in the country, women-wise, and that's Chelsea, and they've got a woman manager. You look at the international team, went and won a trophy for the first time ever with a woman manager. And personally, what I would like to see is I'd like to see Steph get her coaching badges and in the future at some point be the city manager.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I think with her experience and her knowledge of the game, I think she'd be an absolutely fantastic asset.
She's our female Vincent Kompany, isn't she?
Oh, absolutely, because at no point has she ever let the club down. She's a shining example of what it is to be a professional. She's done, with all her injuries and everything, she's done everything humanly possible to get back and be fit. And she's given everything to...
Fantastic role model as well, in this day and age. She's what, I want my young daughters and stuff to strive to. So yeah, you've got to use her right. You've got to use her in the correct way that's good for everybody. But like John said there, she's got a little fight in her hands there with her family and with her husband and what have you. And maybe let her deal with that. Let her deal with that first, because that's what family's more important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can tell you one thing, Paul. When you ask do women respond better to men or women coaches? I'll tell you who they respond to. Dead simple, the same as men. Whoever's talking the most sense and will get the most out of their game. The messenger doesn't matter. The message matters.
Yeah.
And if they can see that they're going to improve and the team will improve, they will respond. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I say it's one of those interesting sort of things that people don't talk about too often, because it is a difference. It's for argument's sake, I've worked in the industry where women aren't there's not a lot of women in my industry as a mechanic, but I've worked under people who just don't respond to a woman boss in a male chauvinistic way. Obviously, they don't respond to it, but they respond to a male. So I wondered, is it the same for the ladies? And the answer, if that's the answer, then that's how it should be. If you're good enough, you listen, and that's doesn't matter what sex you are. To be honest,
I think Anne-Marie hit the nail on the head there. when she said, the most successful club team, is managed, which Chelsea managed by a woman. Speedy recovery to Emma Hayes as well. She's a rough time, and England as well. So I think the proof's in the pudding there.
I just think there needs to be more females. We've got plenty of players, but I think because it's so sort of new, we haven't got many ex-players managing, because that cycle of quality, if you like, hasn't come through yet. But in a few years' time to come, that the conveyor belt will start. I think of ex-players like not Stefan. We wrote her off already there, haven't we? But Karen Barnsley, people like that who were going to hopefully become managers.
Because at the moment, when they're finishing playing, they're going straight into the media, aren't they? Which is a crying shame for the game, really.
Because it's the money. It's just down to the fact that there's that much money in the media, compared to what they can earn as a footballer on the pitch or as a manager. So and a fair play to them. They're only young. You've got to go where the money is.
Absolutely. I think just from a personal point of view, 30, maybe 40 years ago, I'd have given anything for to have been girls' teams.
60.
No, not that old. But certainly 40 years ago, I'd have given anything for to have been a girls' team, because I'd have been right in there. And that's why it's so good to see now. I wish I was younger.
Yeah, we all do, Anne-Marie. We all wish we were younger. Yeah.
I must admit, it makes me smile now that I see players that were under 18s when I was working in the women's football, and they are now on the BBC and what have you. The managers were there. They were on, like I say, Casey Stoney, Farrah Williams. They were all under 18 England internationals. Now, this is the start of that cycle that you were talking about, John. There was not Paul, sorry. Hope Powell was one of the first ones. we've got an excellent one at City who gets overlooked a lot. Jane Ludlow. She's outstanding, and she's in there looking after the academy. So, you know, we can't ignore her input. She'll be in there.
I think the future's great, isn't it? I think the future for women's football's, you know, it can only go from leaps and bounds, can't it? It can only improve, and I'm not saying it's not, you know, it's not good as it is, but it can only get better and better and better, and brilliant things are going to come, aren't they? Opportunities in media, in everything. If you look back at the men's game, how that's developed since Sky came into it, then I think the same sort of leaps and bounds are going to come when, you know, in a few years' time with the ladies' game.
But you just need to look at the career Alex Scott has got now.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, she's a big pundit on the men's and the women's games. You know, so
she's on everything at the moment.
She is, but she's good at what she's doing, and you know, I think full credit to her. She's making the most of the opportunity.
What you were saying there, John, about this cycle, we've seen it ourselves, albeit on the men's side with the academy. It started in 2008. It was about 2010 before it got up and running properly. If you were 6, you'd still only have been 16 in 2020. And now you'd still only be 18. So these things that are getting built previously, they're not going to give immediate rewards. You've got to go through that process. And obviously City are they're refining that process all the time. And you're getting an awful lot of Man City players now playing in the Premier League who may not be caring Cyprians. You've got the U team that's with Arsenal. And it'd be the same with the women. They're all coming through. And we've got a good squad now. There's no doubt about it with the women. And they're all young. Mary Fowler's 18, Denya Castellanos. She's already been on the Player of the Year, the World Player of the Year. Came third when she was 17. You know, we've got players who've been at Atletico Madrid. They've won leagues. They've won Barcelona. We've got 2 from there. These are good players. They are really, really good players, and it's everything's just had to take time for it to, start coming through.
Yeah.
So it is patience, making sure you got the ingredients right.
So Anne-Marie, who's up next for the women?
Oh God, off the top of my head, I don't actually know, but just give me 1 sec. Sorry, I'm not prepared.
So Riz will know.
So it just proves it's unscripted. I think you'll find it's Brighton.
Yeah. I know we've
Brighton
got
ladies.
Are you sure?
No.
I think you might be wrong, Riz.
I
think you're probably right.
Playing Blackburn Rovers on Wednesday.
That was it. I always get them 2 mixed up with the same coloured shirts and the
B. B and the
Blackburn, and the B.
Right,
And then on Sunday, a big game. We're at home to Liverpool on Sunday at 2 o'clock.
And we play United soon, and November the 11th, is it?
10th of November. Or the 11th of November.
We've got a decent run. The next 5 or 6 games, we've got a decent run in that. We've had 2 of them games. We've got Liverpool.
Not against John. Not against the Rags. The Rags are flying at the moment. You know, they've got a good chance of winning the league. Sadly,
I'm not so sure they'll win the league, but they'll be in the mix.
Andy, where are you getting your information from?
Me?
Yeah.
About what?
Liverpool.
No, he's talking about
the Rags. Sorry. Yeah, they're in second place behind Arsenal.
Yeah.
I just sadly they're flying. They've got a great chance. I feel.
They've brought in Nikita Paris, haven't they? The
ex-City.
City's own forward. She's a strength, and they have lost a couple of. They lost them Americans, haven't they? So they probably had about
they've probably gone home to the Glazers
back, but yeah, they will. They'll be in the. No, they'll be in the mix-up. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other problem with this league, though. It's only 22 games, so if you lose a couple, it's like 10%, isn't it? It's like losing 4 games.
Yeah,
you don't have a very quick turnaround, and I'm not so sure they'll they'll bottle it like they did last year.
No.
Let's hope they do, eh?
Yeah.
We should. Yeah.
So,
fingers crossed. I mean,
so-
you know, everything they do.
So we've got Blackburn in the week, and then Liverpool. So it's, you know, by the time we next catch up about, you know, how the women are doing, we'll have a better idea on, you know, if it's a two game blip, or, you know, whether there's foundations there to, to proceed, you know, into a decent position, because we're in. Are we still in fourth, Anne-Marie, or is it?
No, we're
Sixth.
not. I think we're in sixth. We've got West Ham and Everton ahead of us.
Yeah, that was because of their results today, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen,
Yeah.
six, considering how we started off, you know,
I think Blackburn will have the return of Steph.
Yeah. So, guy, anybody else get anything before we wrap up?
No,
I think you'll see the appearance of Steph at the Blackburn game.
Yeah. Let's hope so, eh?
Yeah. Yeah. Anne-Marie, last word with you.
Onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
Trust in Gareth.
As I've always said, and on that note, I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.